And yes, they are in very, very real trouble, polling at around about 20%. There may be something of a Sunak bounce. But what do the activists think? Because let's face it, Conservative Party members have been ignored in this process. They have not had a say. And in many ways, you know, what was said during Truss's brief premiership is you, the party members, got it wrong. We know better than you. Well, we're better to find out the mood of the activists and, of course, the very popular political website, Conservative Home. William Atkinson joins me, assistant editor. You're on the front lines, and these are the men and women that give money, deliver leaflets, stand for council elections. They are the essential machinery of a political party. Obviously, it's been completely catastrophic for the last few weeks. Is there an air of calm today?
I think there is. I think especially the manner in which Sunak became leader, the fact that it was essentially the product of it was becoming obvious that he had overwhelming support amongst MPs and that no other MP was either willing or able to challenge him, meant that he's actually been able to form a cabinet of all the talents. And I think different to when Liz Truss came in, she decided to...
Of all the talents or of all the different political wings?
No, I would say of all the talents, because we're bringing back people such as Michael Gove, for example, who's always been a highly effective minister. And there I see there's been a lot of complaints by the tofu eaters and Guardian readers of Twitter so far about the reappointment of Suella Braverman. I think, frankly, she's far closer to the voters on issues like immigration and protecting our borders.
That I agree with. I agree with that. But I mean, bringing Michael Gove back into cabinet when you're aiming at unity, I mean, he's been just about the most disruptive figure in Conservative politics for the last 6 years.
Well, I would say Michael is disruptive as a minister, but I wouldn't necessarily he's disruptive as a force in the party. I think there was a time in which, you know, when his leadership ambitions got ahead of him in 2016, especially, when he was perhaps more of a disruptive figure. But I think from my own personal experience of Michael and his, actually the opinion of him within the party itself is that especially since 2019, he is seen, especially on a governmental level, as the guardian of levelling up, the person who most understands what it was that drove that sort of victory of the Conservative
Party. What is levelling up? No one's ever explained it to me.
Well,
does it mean taking money from the south and giving it to the north? Is that all it is?
Well, as somebody who has to edit endless articles on this from various different MPs trying to climb the greasy pole, I have had about 15 different answers a day on what levelling up means.
Exactly.
But I think fundamentally, from the pitch that we made to those voters in 2019, it was this is a Conservative Party that's not all about asset stripping and closing down factories and making the South richer and, you know, helping out bankers, etc. This is a Conservative Party that wants to spread opportunity. And the way that Michael Gove, when he was last Levelling Up Secretary, talked about that was not only devolving power, but devolving the ability that local communities can have those powers to actually change their own local environments.
It's so theoretical.
It isn't theoretical.
It's really academic, very theoretical. And look, actually, if you're talking about levelling up an enterprise, Kwasi Kwarteng's mini-budget talked about the creation of enterprise zones, talked about support for small entrepreneurship. What we've now got, and I put this to you, what we're going to have is, particularly on the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses, the sole traders, what we're going to have on the 1st of April is a near 30% rise in corporation tax, an increase in dividends tax, which is how most small business men and women pay themselves, and no relaxation, no reconsideration of the IR35 rules. Does the Conservative Party believe in small business and free market enterprise?
I would say the Conservative Party does believe in small businesses and free market enterprise, but we also have to recognise the political situation that we're in. Whoever was in power, whether Labour or whichever Tory Prime Minister we decide to have next week, is going to have to make some very difficult decisions based on what the international market environment is. Now, the corporation tax rise, not necessarily something that I fundamentally agree with. You know, I think a lower corporation tax rate is a better one. But we are in an environment where other countries are also raising theirs. Ours still remains one of the lowest in the G7. And I think one thing that we should look out for is that it was Rishi Sunak who, as Chancellor, introduced various different investment allowances and the like to go along with that rise in corporation tax, which were then scrapped when the rise was overturned under Kwarteng and Truss. And I imagine we're going to start to see some of those coming back. And when Rishi Sunak has talked about this sort of thing, whether as Chancellor or in his leadership campaign, he made very clear, and I've seen him in rooms full of, you know, small businessmen talking about this sort of thing.
Talking and not delivering.
No, delivering, because he understands that it's important that they have those investment opportunities.